Welcome to TechBytes 37. Now that sounded automatic,
No, it did not.
robot. Hi guys, welcome to TechBytes. This is episode 37. And just so you know, if you're just joining us for the first time, TechBytes, it's a podcast by Technext where we talk about the tech news, analysis, reviews, and industry updates. We also have conversations with industry experts where we talk about conversations that matter to you and me. All right, I won't be doing this alone. I'll be doing this with Omole. My name is Dami, and I have Omole in the studio.
He knows my name today. Hallelujah.
even though, how was the week?
I don't want to say what I went to at the hospital because people are going to call me out. But what I went to do made me ill. I've not been to the hospital in a while. So yes, it actually made me ill. So
Bele. Yeah. So back to the conversation of today. Yes, we will be talking about the news and everything, and along the way we'll be having a conversation with Ebovi Wali. So we're going to be diving into the world of digital nomads. Yeah, people that live online, if you can call it that. Yeah.
Live and work online.
Okay. So we're going to be talking with Ebovi Wali, who is an expert in this field. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. So take us away.
Yes, the first one is from Guinea. Not the first time. So yeah, Guinea's interim government orders fresh internet shutdown ahead of two-day anti-government protests. Does this remind you of anything?
Nigeria Twitter shutdown.
Wait first.
Yes, nah.
Wait first. Let me ask the question first.
It's a popular thing for African countries. Like almost every year, almost every month, we hear of one African country shutting down internet, and it's almost always political reasons. Maybe people are complaining about the new
One
policy,
leader that is not happy with
and it's just be like, okay, all of you are not going to talk again. Shut down the internet.
I feel like they would have done it in Nigeria too, but Nigeria is too strong for one person to be able to do that.
It's about strength. They did it for Twitter now, so
Just Twitter.
okay.
Facebook is a more powerful platform.
Oh well.
Anyway, so as citizens of Guinea jail up for 2 days of anti-government protests, the national government has ordered a fresh internet shutdown to help curtail the protests. The interim government, led by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, the man behind the 2021 coup, has called for the army to support the police in quelling the planned protests. According to real-time metrics from NetBlocks, a worldwide internet monitor seeking an inclusive digital future, access to social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and TikTok have been severely limited across the West African countries since May 17, 2023.
So that's 2 days and counting now.
The data for that shows that MTN Guinea and Orange, two of the biggest telecom operators in the country, have already obeyed the shutdown order. Aside from blocking access to social media outlets for citizens, a Twitter user claimed he was unable to view Guinean news sites even after experimenting with multiple browsers. He eventually found a workaround. I imagine that it was Nigeria. They would have started calling out the MTN Guinea and Orange. Why are they obeying others?
How would you even call them out? In the first place, how would you call them out?
Exactly.
Maybe Nigerians in diaspora.
So citizens have turned to VPNs, as we did when we had Twitter shut down. They turned to and this happened 2 years ago too in Guinea, where they also shut down the internet. But Media Defense, an international human rights organization, called out the government and said, "Hey, internet is a fundamental human right. You should not be doing this." But
It's 2023. This should not be happening.
like it should not be happen. It should not have happened from 2005. That was the last time it
Should it even have happened ever?
Like when the last time I heard there was a coup, I didn't remember the country. I'm like, what? I thought all of that had ended. But anyway, let's go to the next one. It's 4.5% of Nigerians were negatively affected by CBN's Naira redesign policy.
We be no.
And then they said it is youths that bore the biggest brunt. An outstanding 84.5% of Nigerians were negatively affected by the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy. This was according to a new survey by SB Morgan. The report also revealed that Nigerian youths were the worst hit, with 90.9% of respondents aged between 18 and 29, attesting to have been adversely affected by the cash squeeze or cash crunch. Overall, respondents between the ages of 18 to 49, representing the most productive demographic in the country, were more devastated by the ruinous policy.
Yeah,
Ah,
it was a terrible time.
I think
we
I think
saw we saw we saw we saw dark things.
I think like everybody was,
We're buying Naira.
we're all affected, notwithstanding the age group. Well, because
Yeah, actually, I
market women were not market men and women are not exactly 18 to 49. Some of them are way
I
older.
actually even think the youths were the ones to catch on
Yeah, for
to
a
the
survey like
internet
this.
trend faster. The older guys took very long to get on. I know people in my family that for the first 1 month of that
It's just this
route.
year that my daddy, no, less than a month ago, my daddy started telling me he now has an OPay account. I'm like, interesting.
I know people that they have to always go to the bank to make transfers. So that period was hellish for them. Like for
They
every
couldn't
money
do anything.
they couldn't do anything. They don't have USSD, they don't have a bank app, they don't have internet banking, nothing. It was just like,
Anyway, let's go on.
I mean, all things have passed away. Amen.
Amen.
That's if they don't rescind it in
And
December
sometimes
again.
when I think about why the policy was announced or released, financial inclusion, I'm like, did it really have any effect? Because people are going back to cash.
Cash is king in
People are going,
Nigeria.
even young people. I remember we did a street tech uh, episode where we asked people which they would prefer, online or cash, and it was actually balanced. Young people, saying that they would do cash. So imagine older people who don't even trust the system enough to want to do online. And that period where there was no cash at all, a lot of people distrusted the system more.
Yeah.
Because you do transfer, it has left your account, it's not getting destination, or there are a lot of issues that period.
But this
So
is
yes,
Nigeria, Sha. Would if the rule comes back tomorrow, would still just adapt and move on.
we keep adapting, and it's not fair. Anyway, Nigeria to invest 5.3 billion in digital birth and death registration platform. I remember census. I don't remember the amount now, but now they want to do another one. This one is for people who have died and people who are going to be born. 5.3 billion. At least it's not dollars. At least it's not dollars.
How much is that in
It's not
dollars?
5.3 billion dollars. I can't do the maths now. I can't do the maths now. But it's still a lot of money.
It is actually a lot of
it's a lot.
money. It's about $11 million
It's a lot of
going
money.
by official rates or
Just
so.
to register dates and birth.
Yeah, but I think it's important because during the elections, people were complaining that they were seeing their dead relatives on the list of people that
Oh
were
yes, no,
allowed
that has
to
always
vote.
happened when they release lists like that.
Yeah, so people are supposed to get death certificates, then connect with INEC, but because there's no system to synchronize, right? So if I get a death certificate, do I now have to also go to INEC too and say, okay, this person has died, or take the person off the list and all of that? It should actually be that. So I get a death certificate, the person is automatically removed or marked as deceased on all government
I think the
systems.
only system in Nigeria that is synchronized is the passport system.
So you think passport? I even think BVN.
So if you put if before even the BVN, if you go and maybe you want to register for a passport or you want to maybe get another one, and you put January 20, when in another place you put 15, they already call you from passport officer. Or maybe when you get there, now be like your passport is not ready. Why? Your dates are different. You
I
need
actually had that
to go to
issue.
Abuja and go and
No, mine was even middle name, but
you
we
see.
move.
So I think that's the only system in Nigeria that is there's actually a synchronization. I wish we can have that, for all of them. Yeah. So the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission has announced that 5.3 billion will be invested in the development of an electronic civil registration and vital statistics system in Nigeria. That's ECRVS in Nigeria to improve death and birth registration. The project will effectively digitize and maintain electronic records of birth and death registrations in the country. It is funded by Mrs. Banksford Technologies in partnership with the National Population Commission. Those are the ones that want a lot of money too for the census. Yeah, the ECRVS project aims to digitally capture and verify deaths and births in Nigeria, offering attestation and verification of certificates to end users through an online platform. I just want to know how they're going to do verification for deaths.
Oh well.
Before
Maybe
before
you
somebody go
submit
and register,
mortuary or doctors
or someone just gonna
statement.
register. My dad is dead. my certificate.
Now in the days of loan
Eh,
sharks,
oh my God, it's going to be funny.
we'll see how
I
it
just
goes.
pray that their KYC is, effective. So Google plans to use new AI models for ads and to help YouTube creators, according to sources. So this is it.
Mm.
Google's efforts to rapidly add new artificial intelligence technology to all of its products is making way into the advertising world, as the company has given the green light for plans to use generative AI, fueled by large language models. It's released a couple of language models in the
Yeah.
last event to automate advertising and ad-supported consumer services. This is according to CNBC. This follows a report from the Financial Times in April this year, which similarly stated that Google could soon create ads by putting together images, video, and text supplied by the advertiser. CNBC reports that Google is also looking into ways to leverage its AI model to provide video ideas to YouTubers. It could also integrate an AI chatbot within the Play Store, Gmail, and Maps to provide customer support.
The AI was is fully on. May the
Hmm.
best man win.
Let the best man win. Okay, so Segun Agbaje. This one is
Shegun.
Segun, sorry. Segun, this one is interesting. Said telcos are partly responsible for the 22% decline in GTCO's USSD value. I know that they've been fighting, banks are owing, and the what's their this thing again? Alton,
Outcon. Alton.
Alton are saying that we do banks are owing a lot of money, and banks are saying they want to use the system again. Now Segun, who is the CEO of GTCO is like the parent company of GT Bank, has said that the punitive cost of USSD by telcos is partly responsible for a 22% decline in the company's USSD transactions. So this is what he said. We are quoting him. The 6.98 Naira charge is a punitive cost, and most people do not want to pay that just to use the USSD. That's why it has stopped growing, he said during the company's earnings call. The statement represents a combination of ongoing tensions between the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, that's Alton, the private body that represents the interests of telcos and deposit money banks, over a 120 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it
1
is.
billion debt. So let's quote another thing from Segun. He says, USSD is a clumsy technology. It's not state of the art. Did not know that before. The best way to have financial inclusion is to crash the cost of data so that data becomes more affordable. Then we can use what is a superior technology. I remember
Superior technology
GT was the first
is
that actually started
mobile.
using USSD.
Yeah,
So
I think, yeah.
all of a sudden now it's a clumsy technology. After you're now owing telecoms companies.
I think superior technology, yeah, actually refers to the mobile internet
banks, yeah.
banking, right? And all of that. But come to
But
think
he's saying
about
it's
it, is it
clumsy.
just data? Because you're also talking about access to the tech behind it. For the average person now that doesn't have a smartphone, how did they access
Exactly,
it?
and that is
USSD is the
why
easier one.
the USSD is in place. So if you don't have a smartphone, you can use your Nokia 1110 and just dial
And just dial star whatever
333
and everything.
and you can
Yeah,
do what you
I
want to do.
don't know. Of course, it's not safe, right? Because I know someone that had an incident recently. She lost her phone, and of course, they couldn't access the bank app because they took the phone off her and all of that. What they could use was the USSD, so they were just buying recharge card like credit into our line, and were selling it off or something, transferring it to another line and all of that. That's another way to think about it. It's not the best in terms of safety, but to say it's not the best for financial inclusion, oh well, I'm not sure.
That's questionable. That's questionable. So yes, that's it. Or wait, let's give. Alton says that banks have not cleared their USSD debt for years, and recently received approval from the NCC, that's the Nigerian Communications Commission, to disconnect customers from the service. Many leaders in banking have remained passive until now. Agbaje added that USSD is not state-of-the-art technology, and that internet costs must come down.
I agree, internet costs should come down because we pay significantly higher for what we earn on the average in Nigeria. So
but he can't say we should
Go
completely remove
Agbaje.
the USSD.
I don't even use USSD that much, so
I don't think I've used it in 3 or 4 years anyway.
I'm fine.
The last time I wanted to use it, they say I should go to the bank to register. I'm like, okay, I ain't doing that. Okay, so yeah, that's the end of it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rui. Uh, just in case you want to listen to the others, please go to all of our past episode 36, 35. I can keep going down.
Yeah, you can. You
All
should
right.
actually.
All right. So to the conversation of today, we're going to be talking about digital nomads and Africa. We're going to be sharing experiences of digital nomads across Africa. And just so you know, digital nomads are people who work remotely and travel the world, and it's becoming a thing in Africa. People are proudly calling themselves digital nomads. You have people that have created a job out of it being digital nomads,
The
content
communities.
creators, communities, and all of that. And it's quite interesting because Africa has diverse cultures, diverse landscapes. Some economies are fast growing, some others are, you know what it is. And, beyond Lagos, beyond the popular places in Africa, digital
The big
nomads
five.
are,
Or big
digital
four.
nomads are breaking the barriers, right? They're going far. They're going to places that people don't really notice. I mean, they are teaching people that these places are good for you and all of that. There's a whole lot to explore around it. And I mean, beyond just content creators online and Instagram and the pictures, people are also having jobs and they're still digital nomads, right? And unlike popular belief, some people would say it's not that expensive too. So all of that will be things we'll explore today in today's conversation. And to do this with us, we have Ebovi Wali. Ebovi Wali is the CEO of Kacha Labs, a global venture studio building products for the future of work across community and fintech. Kacha Labs is behind the Nomadic community, a new movement of global digital workers and nomads to drive connections and conversations for new workers. Kacha is also building Worker. So Worker is going to provide or is providing global portable benefits for financial services, pension, savings, health insurance, credit for digital workers who work as independents, earn all the cash, and all their employers do not provide these benefits for them. All right. Prior to Kacha, Ebovi was Chief Growth Officer at Bitmama, a leading crypto payments platform, CEO of African payments platform as well, Chanjera app, and managing partner at VC Syndicate Fund, Tribe Africa Community. Ebovi is also leading global. He's also a leading global tech voice, running a tech, geopolitics, and global markets focused Substack with 10K plus followers. I mean, so we have an amazing person in the
I was thinking that the profile will not end.
I was just waiting for it to end.
Hi, Ebovi. Thank you for joining us
Hi,
today.
thank you so much.
How you doing?
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
So
So
in Lagos.
Lagos, Nigeria.
yeah. I mean, the
Chaos.
digital nomad is here in Lagos for us, just for us today.
Just for today.
All right. So I'll go to the first obvious question. Yeah. Being a digital nomad, of course, it comes with lots of plethora of benefits. It's something that is always touted. Everybody talks about it. So, from your own angle, from your own end, what are the benefits of digital nomads in Africa, especially in comparison with those of other regions?
Whew. I think the best way to always start this conversation, and it's something that I've been doing for a while now. We recently started the Nomadic community, which is a community of digital workers and nomads, right? And something that we've been doing for a while is to, before talking about the benefits, is to sort of help redefine what the concept of digital nomad, is, or digital nomadism, what it is, right? And for us, it took us a while to understand what this concept is, and it's something that we want to share with the world, because the traditional idea of what a digital nomad is someone who sort of like travels the world a lot, right?
Yeah.
5, 6, 10 countries in a year. Instagram content creator,
Exactly.
and but we realized that all of us are digital nomads, right? So as far as you can work in the type of work or economic activity, where you don't necessarily have to sort of like work from an office every day, right? As far as, I mean, even if you work from an office, like, because there are some times where you have to have physical
Yeah,
co-location,
activities.
right? Offsite and group trips and all that stuff, right? But as far as you have relative control over this type of economic activity that you do, right? Then you're a digital nomad,
Mm.
right? That means that you can work from anywhere. Like this morning, I've been working since like 4 a.m.
Oh wow.
My dining table. I've created content already. Shared with my team. On all sides, and I had to rush down here. I told you that I'll be running late, but funny enough, the road
Yeah.
was quite free. So that's exactly the concept of digital nomad. You can work from anywhere, coffee shop, restaurant, your bed.
I think that's the saving can
Bed.
benefit.
So,
Yeah, that's the,
it's not
especially
all
if you're in
from
Lagos.
it's not all from our beds.
Yeah.
From your dining table, from anywhere, or you travel. For example, at the community, we have this, weekend getaway next Saturday to IITA Ibadan,
Mhm.
right,
Oh
for the
wow.
for the group, and about 20 of us have sort of like registered already, and we are going. It's going to be a working trip. There'll be time to like get your work done and all of that stuff, but. We're back to Lagos again,
To
and
the
then
boss.
next month we are going to Benin and Togo. I should be in Kenya at some point. In a couple of months as well too,
That's
right?
good.
So there's relative control over how work is done, right? So the benefits essentially, right, for me is is mostly in two parts, right? I think first of all, the social benefit that comes with it, or the freedom that comes with it is unquantifiable, right?
Mm.
You have your career in your own hands, and that's one thing that we have been preaching at the community in Amadi, that because you have your work in your hands, right? You have control over your work. You
Yeah.
literally have control over your life as well,
Mm.
because human beings, like, we are mostly 90% work.
No life in
There's
it.
no, you understand?
There's only work. There's no
There's,
life.
there's like,
What's
work is
So there's
life.
no balance.
I don't know what they mean by work-life balance. Work is life. You have to find a balance one way or the other. You have to find a balance one way or the other. So it is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful concept where you become sort of an institution. Like my friends at Full Gap would call it. You become an enterprise, right? I mean, even if you're working for a company, but the fact that you can wake up at any time and get your work
And do
done
your
is
work.
is just there's so much
Amazing.
peace that comes with this job. Emotional satisfaction,
Yeah.
emotional freedom, mental satisfaction, mental freedom. Like, you're just in control, and I don't think you can put a price to that,
Mm.
right? You can't put a price
Actually.
to that. 'Cause I'm coming from, I'm traditionally an investment banker. I was an investment banker for about 2 or 3 years, here in Lagos, before moving into tech and in this digital nomad industry. I did most of the landmark transactions, the MTN listing on Nigeria Stock Exchange, with Chappie Denham, and
Oh wow.
I think the other one was Asset and Diamond Bank merger. We supported the investment banking team on those, right? But for me, like, the reason why I made the shift was, like, there were times I lived not too far from this studio, like I told you, right?
Yeah.
There were times I would return here by 11 in the night,
Mm.
12 midnight, one
And
one
someone's asking you for
you
money.
get- and someone is harassing you at the gate or something
Wow.
by that time, right? It becomes quite chaotic, and I just couldn't, because I just knew that there had to be an easier way of life.
Mm.
There has to be an easier way of life.
Let's pick it from there. So
Sure.
you talk about the challenges of your previous job. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are challenges.
Yes, digital
Attached to
nomad as
being
well.
a digital nomad.
Yeah.
So we talk about resources, light, NEPA. Currently we are on Gen.
Mm-hmm.
That means there is no power. There is no internet.
Internet.
Mhm.
Internet
Yeah.
is poor. So, taking all of that into consideration,
Mhm.
what are the challenges, real life challenges that digital nomads face?
Mhm.
If they decide, okay, I want to be a digital nomad, like I want to be a digital nomad, I want to be in Kenya working. So, what are the challenges I'm
I
going to
just want to
face?
chop life.
The challenges are quite, as much as the benefits are great. One last benefit I should have added is the economic,
Benefit.
benefits.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
You're not
important.
spending on transport.
you're spending on transport. I mean, apart from the cost savings, right? It's relatively, like, you just higher income. It's relatively higher income. If you look at it, it's like, you can become a content creator, you can become a YouTuber, podcaster, you can create YouTube playlists, you can become an artist, you can become anything you want to become, right? You have the ability to work for multiple customers or multiple jobs and all of that, right? And then you're also working on a global level, for example, right?
Yeah.
You can work for anybody anywhere and get paid at the same scale anywhere, right? So digital nomad is quite a robust, concept, right? But when you talk about the challenges, trust me, the benefits, as much as the benefits are there,
Are there.
right? There are challenges, right? And most of them are, like, for example, we had to, I think one of the most significant challenges is internet, right? We had to re-record this session.
Yeah, because I mean, the first time network was
The first time we did it over Zoom, or was it?
Yeah, Zoom.
The chaos.
network was chaotic.
The chaos.
The chaos. In fact, I was just wondering how will I say everything I said the last time again today. But I mean, we're here anyway. So I think internet is one big challenge, right? The last time we spoke, I kind of like broke challenges into several levels, right? We have infrastructure challenges. We have the different levels of the concept of digital nomad or digital work, digital economy. We have the infrastructure challenge. We have the payment challenge. We have the networking challenge, and then we have the lastly those basic financial products, and then any other challenge that will arise in the future. Right? Because challenges always come, right? But you have to be ready to challenge them, right? So a lot of people have taken on several the first level of digital nomad challenges, which is infrastructure challenges. A lot of people have taken on the payments challenge. We are now the first to take on the networking challenge to nomadic community.
Oh, great.
So we have provided a platform for digital nomads to sort of like network with themselves, very, very simply. So today through Nomadi, if you step into any country as a digital nomad, or even in Lagos, like a lot of us work from home, we don't even know ourselves. Like we realize that there's so much. Nomadic grew to over 1,000 people in less than a month, all over the world. And it's still growing. We're adding over 200 members every week. And for me, it's like, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing. It tells you that there's a problem. People want to connect. Right? People want to connect. So we created a platform for people to connect. Today on Nomad, you can just step into any country and say, oh, hi, I'm here. Is anybody here I would like to hang out with? Anybody in Kenya I like to hang out with? And you find people, right? It's almost like it's becoming quite viral. We teach ourselves together in master classes. We travel together on group trips. We hang out in different cities and all of that stuff, right? So we are solving a networking challenge, right? But going back to the infrastructure problem, right? There's so much. If you look at it, electricity is one. Internet access, is another one, and several brands. For example, the guys who are providing like inverters and all of that stuff for digital workers are helping out, on that front. And then I think Starlink came with
the
Wi-Fi,
satellite internet,
MTN, 5G, and the rest. There's so many solutions to explore as well to talk about infrastructure, challenges, right? But I think electricity and internet access, are based at the most pressing infrastructure challenges, and then for example, we have to go on a lot of meetings. Sometimes your sound quality is not great and all that stuff. So all those things
I remember
happen.
being in the midst that the line went off. It was so dark.
It can be quite chaotic at some point, and then the other challenge is payments, right? Because you are working in a global village. The concept of digital nomad or digital work is that the world is not a global village. Just the previous day, I was talking to investors. I think some investors in Europe, right? And they have to send some of their investments and all of that stuff, right? And myself, I'm a founder, but just talking about like people who do like client work all over the world, like it's quite challenging to receive payments. I mean, there are a number of solutions out there, but there's still a core challenge, right? Virtual bank accounts closing down and all that stuff, right? So another thing we are propagating is from a solution standpoint, because I think solutions all the time, is crypto, stable coins. Like the world needs to move. The world needs to move to stable coins one way or the other. The world needs to move to stable coins one way or the other, right? So that we can make it easier to transact on a global scale, right? That is the fundamental idea behind stable coins. Every other thing is somebody's ideology, of replacing government and the rest. But for me, like, what's the value for the average African? What's the value for the average global South individual, right? I think making transaction easier, is something that is just
and faster.
Faster. And then the third level, like I said, is networking. We are fixing that with nomadic community, and then the final level is basic financial products, right? Beyond payments, like what else? What else has to come with work? When you think about work in its full sense,
Insurance,
insurance, pension,
pensions.
Very
healthcare,
important.
even credit, salary advance. How does a
Yeah.
YouTuber today, for
True.
example, get a pension?
Mm.
It's almost impossible. And for us, when we think about pension, we're thinking about pension from a global scale, because a YouTuber can, for example, travel to Lesotho today and is doing content and he wants to stay for a month, right? He can
I mean,
travel Cameroon, Bulgaria, like. And what that means is that we need financial services that work on a global
insurance,
scale.
especially.
On a global scale, like how do I step into any country in the world and I have health insurance there, right? That's what we're
Mm.
solving at through our second product, Worker. At Catcher Labs, what we're solving. So we're solving for globally interoperable financial services, right? So pension that works everywhere in the world, health insurance that works everywhere in the world,
Oh, weird.
credit that works everywhere in the world. I don't need today through Worker. You just build a credit score after 3 months. Even if you are in Kenya, you don't need to plug into Kenya financial services to get a loan. You just get it from a global financial service provider, and that's us, right? The product will also evolve as we're growing, right? But you know so if you look at it just holistically, right, there's four levels of challenges I've mentioned: infrastructure, payments, community or networking, and then lastly financial products.
Oh,
Right?
that's
Yeah.
that's interesting. So, just a quick one.
Hmm.
Your past life and your new life, right? Putting its scale of preference, DR, debit side, credit side, pros and cons, and all of that. Which is better?
I have to laugh, man. I'm living my life, man.
Oh shit! Okay, great.
I just wake up every morning and just do whatever I want to do.
Alright.
There's freedom.
There's freedom. I treat every day. There's no playbook anywhere as to how anything should be done.
Yeah.
There's no playbook anywhere.
Also,
I just wake up every morning and do.
also.
You can never find this kind of freedom elsewhere.
Great. So when you were talking, you talked about some locations across Africa. I know you mentioned Kenya.
Yep.
Then of course there's Nigeria, Lagos. Are there other locations across Africa that digital nomads? That it's popular for digital nomads?
Sure. I think just to emphasize in terms of some of the best locations for digital nomads. I think a lot of research, and even personally, because I was in Nairobi sometime last year, and trust me, I need to go back there. Nairobi is a wonderful city.
Oh wow.
It's a really wonderful city, and it's somewhere that I recommend everyone. If you go to Nairobi, you will not come back. Right. Kigali as well, also a beautiful place. I think the East African corridor overall is quite a memorable place.
So
to
how
walk
does
from.
how do the cultures affect the experiences of digital nomads there? Culture.
It was a cultural thing, actually. It was a cultural
Nigeria is
thing.
an anyhow country.
It was a very cultural thing. I think some of my most memorable experience in Kenya or in Nairobi was how cordial people were. Nigeria is a place where everyone is just
On their own.
anyhow.
Everybody's just on their own.
Their own.
For example, when I first got into university, I was a greeter. I used to greet people all over this. I was like, hi, good morning, how are you? Hello. And then someone told me that this is Lagos, so they don't greet people here. Mind your business. Or this is Nigeria, mind your business. And I'm like, interesting. But when I got to Kenya, people will walk up to you and say hi to you, right?
Interesting.
Even ladies, Kenyan women are wonderful.
I think that's a cultural shock for
It's
you.
for
me, Yeah.
How did you
How did you
blend in?
balance it?
You have to blend in. It was a big cultural shock, to be honest. It was a big cultural shock. And then, I think another thing is how free, again, just how free the people were. These guys, they are just living their lives. Here, everybody's carrying everything on their head. These guys are at peace. You can feel the relative peace in the society. Finish on work. We used to go. We were going out every night. I stayed in Kenya for about a week plus or so. We were going out every night. There was this place, Alchemist. Quite memorable spot. I met so many people there. and very quite impressive people as well too, right? So I think it was a cultural shock at first, but man, I had to blend, I had to blend it because I'm not going to miss that moment.
So what advice will you give now to people who want to adopt, that digital nomad lifestyle?
Go for it.
Hmm.
Go for it.
Mm.
There's no stopping what
Tagline.
there's no stopping what you can do. I always tell people like there's no playbook anywhere. You can become anything you want to become, right?
Okay.
You just need, like we were just talking before we started the session. How did some of these creators that are very popular today, for example, Kurti and Loa and the rest, right? How did they become who they were or who they are today? They just became it. There's no
Yeah.
written down rule anywhere. I told somebody the other day, like, dozens of money points who built money points. He did not have a playbook on this is how to build money point. You have to wake up and just do it.
Mm.
You can't just be sitting down and be expecting change to happen in your life, right? You have to go for it.
Yeah.
You have to go for it. You have to work. You have to get up one day. You have to first of all imagine it, and then you get up one day and start telling everybody, "I'm a digital nomad." That's why
I think the fear for many is the cost of getting into that lifestyle. There's also that fear of cost of acquisition. I mean, if you're a content creator, for example, you either have to get a very good phone, which is expensive by Naira standards, a very good laptop or a good camera, good lights,
Stand.
good background. Either maybe you rent a shortlet or you build your apartment to look pretty cool. I mean, there's all of that. If you're traveling, there's a cost of traveling, ticket, accommodation. So there's that heavy cost,
of course,
stigma around digital nomady. Is this something
and
that's
the reason why they're not doing it.
Mm.
You in this digital nomad life, like you have to just dream in possibilities. You have to dream what is possible. You have to first stop what you are doing and say I want to be a digital nomad, right? And you start putting things together for yourself, right? So if you say cost is the barrier, for example, like I explained, working out from a coffee shop is digital nomad. Working out from a restaurant is digital nomad, right? You don't have to travel. Like my last trip, for example, was it Accra? My last international trip was Accra last year, sometime in September. I've not traveled since then, But it doesn't mean I'm a digital nomad. I'm still a digital nomad, right? Of course, I'm putting resources together and all of that stuff, right? You have to start something, right? You have to start something. That's just what we believe, right? Cost cannot be a barrier. Cost cannot be a barrier. I'm a personal believer that if you're creating value, money will follow you. Right. For example, I think we all watched Alma. I don't know if you know
Amazing Alma.
Yeah,
the traveling.
We literally watched her become a travel content creator.
Yeah.
So why not me? You have to ask yourself, why not me? What, even if it means collecting money from your uncle to buy mic set. So that
Don't collect money
do you understand?
from loan sharks.
Do you understand? Don't collect money from your uncle.
You not do that.
I just send you. Collect money from your uncle or from your parents. I want to buy mic and camera. I'll pay you back.
But the problem with that is they may not understand.
They don't have to
Humans
understand.
don't usually understand.
They
things
don't
like
have
that.
to understand. They don't have to understand. Nobody needs to understand you. As a digital nomad, you cannot be understood.
I mean, I've become the Yahoo boy. Even when I see calls in the office.
Of course, they don't have to understand you.
Yeah, there's that
Just give me
part.
what I ask you for. I will. Later, my results at the end. It shall speak. My results will show you later.
Fair, solid. So there's that part of everybody digital content creation and stuff. But I mean, when you were talking earlier, you mentioned digital nomad is beyond just content creation. It goes across board. There are guys who work in tech. There are people who do so many other things.
It's robust. It's really robust.
Yeah. So how do you balance work, life? I mean, I would understand if you're a content creator, right? So what you're doing, that enjoyment you're doing in quotes, is literally your work. So if you go to restaurants, you review it, it's your work. But if you are, say, a software engineer, for example, like product manager, stuff like that, or you're a consultant and things, how do you balance work and the vibes?
Sure. I think at Nomadi, what we did was we divided the digital nomad, career into 6 areas. I think the first thing we have is product and design. We have engineering that covers AI, blockchain, machine learning, data, even core engineering, front end, back end, DevRel, and the rest, right?
Yeah.
Then we also have growth and marketing, right? It covers everybody in sales, business development, right? Then we have digital creator and digital entrepreneur, founders, creators, podcasters, YouTubers, those who do forex trading, those who do digital
Forex.
assets trading, right? Crypto trading, NFT artists, and the rest. Then we have international business and finance, right? As well too for those who are in like who work for the DFIs like World Bank, those who are management consultants like you mentioned, investment bankers, international investment bankers, right? I think those are some of the those are the core areas, right? I didn't add, but in our growth, sort of we have operation, growth and sales, right? So in that category as well, so you have people who are customer service, customer success, and all of that, right? I think the last one we did separate was content and writing, technical writers, those who are international journalists, editors. For example, we have the founder of Kenga magazine in Kenya as a core member of the nomadic community, right? So I think first things first, right? We need to first of all appreciate how diverse, right, digital nomad work is. If you look at it, right, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, like not all of us will be able to travel, will be able to move every time. Some people will have to be behind a laptop for a long time and then travel later,
hours and all.
right? So but the reality is that you need to understand, like, or to balance it. You need to appreciate the fact that we are all nomades. We are all nomads. We are all digital nomads, right? Right. You need to appreciate that the fact that the ability to just be behind a desk in your room every day is a privilege, right? And it is good work. It is work life in the real sense of it, right? It's work life in the real sense of it, right? And some of the things that we are doing is we are spending a lot of time, at the community, organizing mind shift sessions, right? We need to help people appreciate their work, because you need to understand that whatever you're doing is 90% of who you are at the minimum, right? Everything else is 10%, because we human beings, we're economic beings. If you're not creating anything, you suffer.
Yeah, actually.
If you're not doing anything for work, you'll just be suffering. You'll be wasting and I tweeted the other day that your net worth is what you are doing. The reason why Dangote, for example, is the richest man in Nigeria today is because every Nigerian is consuming something from him, right? That's the simple reason. So what are you creating, right, for the world? What are you creating for Nigeria, for this thing? That's the simple way to make money, right? So we need to appreciate that work is life and life is work, right? So you need to build that resilience to see your work beyond a task. So even if you are writing software, for 3 months non-stop straight, man, you're creating something that the world is going to use. You need to see it as that, right? And that way, there's so much peace that comes with, there's just so much peace that comes with it. For example, like, I'm on top of so many things, but I don't look like I'm under pressure. But I'm running several organizations at the same time, right? And everything is going smoothly, right? Because I have realized the place of peace in work, right? And that's one thing we're spending time. So at the community, for example, we divided ourselves into several themes, and one of the themes is wellness and well-being, right? Mental wellness, satisfaction, and all that stuff, right? We need to help ourselves become better when it comes to how we think about these things, right?
I wanted to ask you about how the community operates, but
Sure.
you have already answered that.
No, I still need to add some more things.
Okay, go on there.
So the community is essentially a global network. If you look at it, right? If you join Nomadic today, if you go on our Discord, you will see that we are divided across careers, right? First of all, like I mentioned, all the career groups, the 6 career groups, right? And inside of all the career groups, right, we have broken down areas, right?
Okay.
And what we are building is sort of like a guide system, right? For each of these careers, there's a Nomadic leader that is a guide. For example, the product group, there's a product guide at Nomadic. There's a sub guide for brand design, for example, right? So it's Nomadic is over 1,000 people today, run by over 100 volunteers, right? Volunteer, leaders, right? Across every conversation. Then beyond careers, we have also divided ourselves into locations. We're also location based because location is a big part of digital nomad, right? So, for example, today we are having a hangout in Benin City for digital nomads in Benin City, but I'm not there. I can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the Benin City guy that normally that's organizing it, right?
agree.
Just the other week we had Port Harcourt. I was visiting Port Harcourt for 2 days, and I tell you like, let's host Port Harcourt, right? And the Port Harcourt City Guide held the event. Tomorrow we're going to have Abuja event. We're still putting financial touches to it as well too. It's all happening, right? Everything's just happening. Right.
So if you count on your fingers, how many locations would you say you guys Nomad has presence?
Currently, we have big ambitions to be in every city in the world, right? We're going to do that this year. But currently, we have leaders in Nairobi, Kigali, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania.
Yeah.
We have someone in Brussels, Germany, Belgium rather. We have in Berlin as well too. We have in London. We have people in Dublin, right? We have someone from Cameroon, in Africa.
I feel like you have in India too.
Then
I'm impressed that you've not even mentioned the first obvious places. You talk about London or US.
Exactly.
Like Brussels.
That's tell you the reach now, right?
Wow,
that's the reach of the community. And then in Lagos, Nigeria, we had to, because Nigeria is a continent too. We have to break it down because we have people in Lagos, we have people in Ibadan, we have people in Asaba, Enugu, Anambra, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Like the list is long. Yeah, we have people in Plateau, for example, in Jos, right? It's a growing Jos community, right? Currently, so and Jos is also a tech hub as well too. So there's a growing Jos community. Right now we have diverse members, right? Content creators, traders, tech people, founders, investors, media people. Like everyone is on the Nomadi. Everyone is on the Nomadi.
That's
And
So picking from what I said about them calling me Yahoo boy.
I've been called that name several times.
So if people see you, the lifestyle, party,
of course,
hanging out, going to the beach, people are seeing all of that.
So we have to show them.
So they're like, these people are enjoying, So that is the misconception. Actually, they're not actually enjoying. They just have more freedom to do what.
More freedom.
But I'm sure there are other misconceptions about that lifestyle, the digital nomad lifestyle.
Yeah.
What are they?
Before I go to the other misconceptions, Yahoo boys. I know they're hearing me, but no problem. There's just to be frank, like I've been tagged the line a lot, right? When I first moved to the estate I was staying in Lekki a couple of years ago, a lot of people will approach me and be like, "Oh, boss, teach us the way," and all those kind of things. and I'm like, see, they like OG. And I'm like,
or you go to Babi Saleh. You know me that I'm not living there. Go to Babi Saleh.
I'm like, come. I'll gather them. I'll teach them. I'll see this. See, this is the way of life. You can actually, and I think that's one of the things we're doing at Nomadi. We want to celebrate our lifestyle. Don't hide. Yeah, city set on the hill. Don't hide. The reason why, just as we were talking earlier today, Nigeria is so bad is because there are wicked role models everywhere. Right? For example, in Lagos, now one of the biggest role models, you know who I'm talking about, is that guy that is, controlling bosses. Okay. Bosses. Just like kind of role models people are seeing. And these guys are quite vocal and they're quite physical with themselves.
Yeah.
Out there.
They're out there.
That's true.
So that is why there's so much decadence in our society. Because people see that. Let me tell you, people are looking for what to follow. People see that and that's what they know. But we tech people we're hiding our cocoon.
People hiding, in your room.
In your cocoon.
Without seeing the sun for 7 days.
Like 1 week. Like you see the house, you travel.
Let nobody know that's what I do. I was speaking to one of my friends, just over one of the Nomadic community members actually. We had a private meeting on Sunday, and he was like, "Oh, that his family doesn't know his net worth and all that stuff. He's hiding." And I'm like, "See, man, it's your life you're living. Do you know that on an average, I'm I'm almost 30 in a couple of years, but for me, what I mean is I have only 20 years left. 20 years left to make
work.
my mark on the wall. From 50, everything you are reaping by 50 is what you have shown in your, So you want to tell me that I will spend the next 20 years hiding from people? Do you understand? The remaining 20 years I have of my life, not living the way I want to live, not sharing myself with the world. The world needs to hear it too. And I need to enjoy my life 100% for me. Do you understand? That's what I think. And that's what we want everybody to think as well too. Enjoy your life. Don't listen to him. Don't listen. As I'm talking to you right now, I have a pending Instagram post that I'm going to drop after this conversation. I have dropped it, but I was hurrying to come here. And that post, I was looking really good.
Oh shit!
I was looking really good there. I've been tweeting since morning. Since 4 a.m. I've been tweeting. Enjoy your life, man. Enjoy your life. It's for you. It's not for anybody. You don't have time again. You have 20 years left. I don't have to. I have more than 20 years because I'm not yet 30 anyway. But the reality is, you don't have time. This is your youth, man. Live it the way you want to live it. That's nomadic for you. Live it the way you want to live it. That's nomadic for you, right? And then you're talking about the other misconceptions for digital nomad life. Honestly, I don't really dwell on like negative, so I don't really know many misconceptions, to be honest. But I think one thing that a lot of that is really bothers us is how traditional people see us, in terms of they feel like we are less productive working. Man, it's a big lie. You are less productive.
I know.
Working from outside and all that stuff. Trust me, you have to sometimes collocate, like have physical connections and all that stuff. But I think, for me, I've never worked as hard as I'm working right in my entire life today.
Oh wow!
I've never worked as hard as I'm working today, even when I was in traditional jobs. Right? As I leave here, I'm heading straight to a restaurant. Have a couple of meetings to take. I have a couple of calls to take. My marketing team and I we're pushing out some campaigns today, and everything has to go out today. Right, so there's for me, like, I think that's a very big misconception that work is more productive, and a lot of tech founders too are beginning to adopt that conversation.
Yeah, people come back to the office.
Right, it's a big lie. It's a big lie. I won't lie to you. Like, I think that is why we started Nomadi. To be honest, like, we want fine, a lot of people productivity dropped. I will not lie, but just seeing the way we're running the community today, for example, one of the digital nomads in the community told me that, for example, he has achieved more in a month of joining Nomadi than he has done in 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Building his product. Right, we are showing that there's a lifestyle of hard work. Right, there's a lifestyle of grit that comes with this job. It's not for complacence. Right, this job is not for complacence.
So there's actually a balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Not for complacence. And everybody's sitting up. Everybody's sitting up all over the world. Like, you can actually do something with yourself. Like, and we're also preaching the message that it is more than just work. It is actually your life. So people are actually sitting up in terms of productivity. For those quote unquote who believe that it's less productive to be I think it's a terrible thing to be in an office every day, right? It's a very terrible thing. Do you know why? We all know, right? Traffic,
Stress,
and then the stress, and then, for example, like, how much can you really achieve in 8 hours of somebody just watching you? Because there's one boss always watching you, like, is that guy working?
Every time I get home, I just lay down on the bed first.
Yes.
And sleep for like 2 hours, and I stand up again because of the traffic. Because you're spending 2 hours, 3 hours in traffic, and I'm just going here. It's just here. Like,
literally.
I can walk to my house, but I'm going to spend 2 hours in traffic because Lagos. So that's
a major one. Yeah, that's a major one. So now you mentioned, I know when we started off, you started off with the different challenges, the infrastructure, community, payments, financial products, and all of that. But beyond this, there's also the government factor. Governments can either be for or against, right? And there's something we probably should not shy away from. The digital nomad community is growing, and it's growing fast.
It's growing fast.
Yeah.
It's growing really fast. Something we acknowledge.
Yeah. So sooner or later, governments would have to come around, have some sort of regulations, policies around all of this.
Sure.
Some governments are already doing that. You're having the digital nomad visa and all of that. So what are some other policies that you think African governments especially should begin to take into place and consideration as the communities grow more?
This is a very interesting question. Like you said, digital nomad culture is growing. In fact, it's something that we're always talking about at Catcher Labs because that's our core focus as a company. We just want to build products around this space, and we realize that you know a market that becomes so big will not go unnoticed for so long,
Mhm.
right? So many of us are just part of society, but mostly virtually, right? So I think from a good standpoint, any government that wants anything meaningful, they need to understand that this is a force. You see, that's the problem with government. They always think that they can coerce people. You cannot coerce people for so long. You have to create incentives. Incentives. Leadership is by incentives, not by coercion. That is where a lot of African governments are getting it wrong.
Mm.
Human beings run on incentives, not coercion. If you want to get the best of a human, provide the incentives. And that's why I was telling you just, before starting the session about how we need to drive the spirit of entrepreneurship as a country.
Mm.
We cannot create all the jobs. But there are so many problems to be solved. Right? So you need to create incentive mechanisms that will allow us as digital nomads contribute to the society in the way we want to. Right? Else we'll take ourselves and go to another place. Like you said, digital nomad visas are everywhere. They are going all over the world.
Yeah, they are.
And I can work from anywhere. I can work from anywhere I want to. Right? So, gone are the days. You see, trust me, the world is uniting. Gone are the days when governments have the power that they think they have. They don't have it anymore.
Of course not.
They need to dialogue. Look at what happened with blockchain and crypto a couple of years ago.
Everybody has
shamelessly, the central bank was thinking they could ban it. Shamelessly. But it didn't work. The market still grew and tripled.
2021 was actually the biggest year.
Government grow more.
Government
2021 was
they
the
need to
biggest year
think.
for crypto.
They need to start thinking about incentive. That is how first world countries become first world countries. Citizens are more important than government, right? So you need to create incentive mechanisms that allow citizens, become better, right, and value adding to society. And one of those ways, for example, in Nigeria, I think one big challenge we are seeing, beyond infrastructure problems and electricity and all of that, because one of the biggest appeal of East Africa today is their infrastructure. Good road network, stable. Literally when I was in Kenya, I could walk into any place and there was Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
I don't mean. I mean, not necessarily government provided Wi-Fi, but it's more like
I mean,
there was just Wi-Fi infrastructure everywhere.
the
Like,
fact that right of way is probably even there in Nigeria, people are finding it difficult to lay cables, fibers
understand?
for
Like,
internet. So how do you want to
how
get
do you
free
want to even
Wi-Fi?
get? Like, it's just crazy what's going on in this part of the world. Governments just do things as if they were not citizens before becoming
I
government.
think they don't try to understand that thing before they now start laying down policies.
And that is why society will continue to be as it is anyhow, rebellious. Because
What
at
anyhow,
the
that's
core
what
of
they
you,
say
at the
no.
core of human, at the core of a human, humans are rebellious at core.
Yeah.
When
True.
you flog a human being, you naturally want to hit you back. Do you understand?
Mm.
But if you call and say, "Hi,
Alpha.
how can we progress together? We will reason together." So I will not tell government to continue in their part because they are going about it wrong. And if the next government that is coming is also planning to go about it in the way they are going about it, they will fail as well. In terms of regularizing digital nomads in Nigeria. Do you understand? We'll take ourselves and move to other places that accept us and give us what we want in terms of incentives and benefits. Right? Society must provide benefits for people to actually contribute to the society. You don't use force. You don't use CBN. You don't use police and all that. And now come back to the police situation. That is another problem in this country. Security, harassment, and all of that stuff. Just on my way here, although I'm quite a calm person when it comes to the the military or the police officers, right? When I approach them, because like I don't have your time. I don't have time to shout at you. I don't greet you. Like, how are you, officer? But generally everybody's different, right? So the harassment is also a thing, right? I mean, relatively reduced, post NSAS and the rest, right? But it's still happening.
Yeah, it is.
Security challenges, thefts and all that stuff is happening. It's happening. Like, I was just looking for to park my car. I just want to make sure that my car is safe wherever it is, right? So they need to create an enabling environment. Government needs to focus on, in terms of policy. If you're looking if you think of policy for digital nomad, create an enabling environment. Invite us. We'll help you. We'll help you structure policies that will work. Not structure laws. Laws to control.
So if you were called to if you were called to the committee, like there's a committee for policies around digital nomad, what's that one policy that would be your major focus?
I think there's a plethora of things to be done. but I like what I'm a big fan of Ian Aboyeji, co-founder of Flutterwave and Future Africa. They're currently building Eternal City, which is going to be like a city of digital nomads, physical city actually. I think we need to encourage. You see, that's all I'm going to do by policy. See, we need to start thinking on national scales. I don't think as a local man. We start thinking on national scales. How do we create zones, industrial zones? For example, like I told you, entrepreneurship. Beyond. So I'm going to digress a bit. Beyond digital nomad, because everybody can be digital nomads.
Yeah.
There's a whole market out there that government needs to quickly arrest, because this unemployment and this crime rate is an economic issue. We need to arrest it. It's a ticking time bomb. We need to arrest it immediately. Nigeria will blow up in front of us, right? It will blow up in front of us. There are countries that just because of that, these high levels of crime and countries are just unstable. Countries are just unstable, right? So government needs to focus on expanding the economy. Generally, how do you expand an economy like Nigeria? They reel out their manifesto and they're like, they'll create 10 million jobs in the military, in this. You don't do that. That's not how to create jobs.
Empower people to start their things.
Yes.
We
need to become. What is the Nigerian dream today? There's no Nigerian dream per se, but I think it's a Nigerian dream that has not been institutionalized. Nigerians are known as starters all over the world. Anywhere you go to in the world as a digital nomad, they respect Nigerians. They're like, these guys are everywhere. Oh. If you go to Cambodia, you find a Nigerian there. Or Venezuela.
Yeah, that's true.
you find Nigerians everywhere. Because Nigerians are naturally digital nomads. Because the place is too chaotic, so we have to move. We have to move all over the place. So we need to drive that national spirit of starting your own thing. That is how first world countries become first world countries. That's how China became China.
Okay.
You need to start. From that. So the government needs to focus on creating an enabling environment, not just the way that an enabling environment for businesses, right? We need to drive a national entrepreneurship program, right? Every year we are creating 10 million entrepreneurs. To the NYSC, for example, like we were just discussing, the NYSC needs to become a national entrepreneurship program. Everybody starts something, do your NYSC, and we evaluate what you did at the end. This will create jobs. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we need to focus. So back to digital nomad life, we need to focus on creating, for example, digital nomad, like I was saying, industrial clusters. And that's what we're doing in Nomadi. In every city in Nigeria, for example, there will be a Nomadi rep, and we're hosting monthly meetups, inspiring ourselves, and learning, right? So we need to focus on creating those kind of clusters from an institutional scale, right? And then see what can be built, because beyond just community, like when smart minds come together, something must be built. Nowadays are finding people to work with on projects. Oh, I want to start this project, and you get a whole team, marketing, growth, operations, everything on the community. You start and finish, even investors.
Wow.
So that's what we need to focus on. An institutional scale, we need to drive it as a country, right, and as a people. That's what we believe.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think that brings us to the end of our conversation for
Yeah.
today. Thank you
you.
very much, Ebovi, for having this
Thanks for
conversation
having me,
with
guys.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
and-
big fan of the Technext, community.
You see,
Ah.
he's a big fan.
While-
What are you
While I
doing?
was at Bit Mama, we supported some of the
Yeah,
conferences.
the
Yeah.
that you
Technext
guys-
conference and all of that.
Yeah, all
Thank
of
you
that.
So what are
very
you
much.
doing? He's a big fan.
All right, so as it's our culture here, the conversation doesn't end here. I'm
Yes.
sure there'll be viewers who would want to connect with you,
Sure.
maybe get on Nomadi and
Join
and all of
Nomadi.
that.
If you want to reach me, I'm on Nomadi. I'm there 24/7. I don't sleep. From
So
morning till
how
night.
would they reach you?
Join
Social media
Nomadi.
handles.
So the social media handle is at join JOIN Nomadi NOMADI. Right,
Okay.
Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. Right, or www.joinnomadi.com. Right,
Okay.
Personally, Ebovi Wali. Search it anywhere, you find it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just like Ebovi Wali, you can search TechBytes anywhere you find it.
You find it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway.
Anyway.
All right, Rui, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, as you said, it's unique. It's Omole Omori. Just look for it. Anyway,
find it.
Google it.
Google it. Google the name.
Any social-
Google
any
Nomadi.
social- any
Google
social
Ebovi.
platform.
Google
Okay,
Omole. Google
okay.
Technext. You'll find everything there.
Yeah, my name is Oluwadam Larry Akinpelu. You can search it. You find it too. You find it.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Ebovi.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. All right.